Neeraj, you let us know when everybody joins, right?
Yeah. So we have close to 83 now. Let us give a minute. So, and after that we can start, Barney.
Yep.
Barney, we can start.
All right. Thanks, Neeraj. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 7th edition of HYSEA's NetSeries being hosted on 7th of July 2020. Well, HYSEA, most of you may know, is a unique regional IT/ITES industry association, which is 28 years old and has more than 300 registered members, representing more than 90% of Hyderabad's IT industry revenue and employee count. Over the last 28 years, HYSEA has been able to play the role of a catalyst to effectively serve the needs of its members. It gives me immense pleasure to share with all of you that all our net series so far have been a phenomenal success and was quite impactful to the target audience. Today's session, cybersecurity in the COVID era, gains a lot of importance during the current context as remote working is throwing out a lot of security concerns particularly. So without taking a lot of time, let me introduce the distinguished speakers for today. The moderator is Narasimha Rao, is fondly called Nari in our industry circle, is a past president of HYSEA and executive vice president at Infosys, heading cloud infrastructure and security solutions service line, and also Infosys validation solution service at Infosys. Additionally, he is on the Delivery Council for Infosys, which provides leadership to the global delivery organization. He is a mentor for the India-based delivery centers at Infosys and on the Diversity and Inclusivity Council, driving the D&I agenda for the organization. Nari has been with Infosys for more than 18 years and has played leadership roles across various service lines and industry segments. Prior to joining Infosys, Nari worked for 10 plus years in various capacities with Ramco Systems Limited, Brookbond India Limited, and the UB Group. So Nari is an engineering graduate from College of Engineering, Osmania University, Hyderabad, and an alumnus of XLRI, Jamshedpur, where he pursued his master's in business management. So let me come to the distinguished speaker, Dr. Tal Pavel from Israel. Thank you very much, Doctor, for having accepted our invitation and joining this webinar from Israel all the way. So Dr. Tal Pavel is the founder of CyBureau, an expert and researcher of cyber threats, ICT and internet in the Middle East and the entire world. Dr. Pavel holds a PhD in Middle Eastern Studies, Bar Ilan University, desertion, changes in governmental restrictions over the use of internet in Syria, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates between the years 2002-2005. Dr. Pavel is the keynote speaker in international conferences, lectures in several academic institutions in Israel, an interview and expert commentator on all media outlets in Israel. His organization provides a wide range of solutions to empower the everyday internet and technology user, even the non-tech savvy, to give added values, impact, inspire, and enable more enlightened conduct in the daily life technology that surrounds us. It's an honor to have Dr. Tal again amongst us today, and I'm sure the next 1 hour will be enlightening for all of us in the area of cybersecurity. And this is Barney Arol, President of HYSEA, now handing over to Nari. Nari, take over, please.
Thank you, Barney, and I want to welcome Dr. Pavel to this session. Thank you, sir, for taking the time and spending time with all of us. As you know, cybersecurity is a big topic and a very important topic in current times, and a lot of us want to hear your views on some of these topics. I just want to take maybe 4 or 5 minutes, giving my understanding of where we are, and then hear from you what is it you are seeing. Fundamentally, if you see, I think over the last 2, 3 years, cybersecurity has been growing prominence in businesses. I think even without COVID, it was actually gaining prominence in a big way. And there are 2, 3 reasons for it. First is, I think, the whole ubiquitous computing, which is coming to play with the explosion of mobiles and broadband, and of course IoT, and every device being managed by a computer today. So that has really grown the surface of computing around the world, and consequently the need to manage data and privacy in a very secure manner. The second thing is, I think I spoke about it. I think with IoT and consumerization of technology, everything from washing machines to cars to pacemakers to fitness bands, everything is today connected. And again, respecting people's individual privacy and the data becomes very important, and thereby cybersecurity becomes extremely important. Now, what's also very interesting is today there is a big need for us to enable users and their experience and faster response, and that we have to measure against the need for security and controls. Very often we think that additional security and controls is going to slow down or degrade an experience, but we can't afford to have that. So increasingly, cybersecurity solutions have to balance and ensure that there is superior experience, as well as they're able to protect the business and the data and the consumer finally. Now, while that is true in a normal world, COVID has come in the last 4 months, and that has completely changed our world again. And in an ironic way, that's only made the importance of cybersecurity that much higher. Now, thanks to COVID, I think remote working, which was done in some parts of the world, some enterprises, has now become the only lifeline for all businesses to perform. Today, many companies operate upwards of 90% plus remote working, and it is like we have taken away offices, which most of us have in 10, 20, 30 cities. So we created hundreds of thousands of offices for all of us. As a company, we have more than 200,000 employees. So literally we are like operating out of 200,000 offices. So the kind of security, whether it is physical data or internet security you could provide in your premises, today you need to provide a similar security environment for people working from their homes. And that's the challenge. And I think today in the current COVID situation, uh, the fact that we're able to work remotely is actually helping businesses continue. And any threat to businesses on account of a cyber incident is going to completely reshape the way work is delivered today. And in a current situation that can be disastrous for mankind, if we had to give up on remote working, just imagine the consequences on how the COVID would spread on the lives and hospitalization, all of that. Now, unfortunately, while COVID is a disaster which none of us could predict or none of us could anticipate, during this period, we also have people and agencies doing things in a malicious manner to make it worse. During the last 3 months, the cyber threats have actually increased. By some data I've seen, there's been a 350% increase in phishing sites in the last 3 months. There's been almost a 300% increase in malicious URLs. There have been more than 200% increase in ransomware attacks during the period. And all in all, I think there are players today who are trying to exploit the situation, knowing that businesses, individuals, societies are vulnerable. They know that they can cause the biggest damage, so they are trying the hardest. So not only do we have to deal with this revised remote working scenario, which has been thrown at us thanks to COVID, we are also having to deal with actors acting against the interests of the society, of the individuals, and we have to protect ourselves against all of that. Given all of this, I think it's quite apparent that for the world, for the businesses, for all of us as individuals, making sure that we are secure in the cyber world becomes utmost importance. It's probably a lifeline for us. If we cannot operate in a secure manner from our respective places of work, in most cases today home, then we are really putting the entire world economy at risk. That's where we are right now. With a few words, I want to hand it over to Dr. Pavel, who would share his initial thoughts in a PPT, and then we'll take questions, and all of you can put questions on the platform, and we'll take some of them towards the end of Dr. Pavel's session. So Dr. Pavel, I will hand it back to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nari. Thank you, Mr. Brahani. And thank you all the organizers from HYSEA and all the respectful attendees for joining us. I surely agree with your remarks, with your findings, with your things that you've mentioned, and well, I hope that we'll see in this short presentation some reflections for your very important insight. So let's start. Okay, cybercrime in the coronavirus era. Do you see it well? Everything is fine? Yeah? Okay. Okay. You hear me well? See me well? Everything good?
Yes, yes, all good, Dr. Pavel. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Okay. So we are thinking about coronavirus and cybercrime, which means cybercrime and the coronavirus. Every time that the humankind, we are facing disaster, disaster whatsoever will be the disaster, there are those who can take and will take advantage, that will make crimes in order to take advantage of the disaster, what is called disaster fraud. And I must admit that I didn't know that such a term exists, disaster fraud, until I've started to analyze and research this cybercrime during the coronavirus era. And indeed, as you can read it here, black markets and corruption have always flourished during wartime. And it's taken from a specific article that deals with the fear and corruption in times of disaster. So what are the attack vectors? And once again, we are speaking about cybercrime, the coronavirus era. The attack vectors, as we can see here, are mainly malware, phishing, and information stealing. And during the month and a half of March and mid-April. And if we compare it to 2 months earlier, we can see that there were much more ransoms and much more remote activities. But here there are much more, even, you know, phishing and information stealing. It's not so sophisticated attacks. I'd like to have a short question, and I think that Mr. Nari referred to that number during your presentation. During January 2020, there were 1,200 COVID-19 related attacks. How many did we see in February and March? And you can see here the possibilities. Once again, during January, if on January 2020, there were 1,200 COVID-19 related attacks, related cyber attacks, how many did we see in February and March? A, B, C, and D. So we don't have enough time to have the answers from the attendees, but I'll show you, we have something. We have something in the chat. B, D, C, we have 1, B, 2, D, C, D. Okay, okay. Yes, and what can be seen from your answers is that most of you think that there is a huge rise in the number of cyber attacks, whether it's B or C, there is a huge rise in cyber attack related to COVID-19. And as you can see here, well, the right answer is, C. And on January 2020, we had 1,200. A month later, 10,000, and 1 month later, March, 380,000. It's amazing number increasing in phishing and cyber attacks. Another aspect is suspicious newly registered domain, which means new website domain that both only for malicious intentions, and they are not ordinary newly registered domain. They are those who were bought with COVID-19. They are related to COVID-19 by the names. So you can see the rise in number of suspicious newly registered domain with COVID-19 related. And you can see here the names, just few of them. Survival coronavirus, vaccine to coronavirus, and so on and so forth. Those websites, domain name, pardon, the name were bought with deliberately malicious intention to lure the victim to those websites. And just a bit about the numbers. As you can see, the ICA3 was receiving between 3,000 and 4,000 cybersecurity complaints each day, a major jump from prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, when about 1,000 complaints were received daily, which means 3 to 4 times much more than every day before the COVID-19. And it's the cyber division of the FBI. The Federal Trade Commission, received more than 7,800 coronavirus-related reports, which is more than double than they saw a week earlier of the report itself. So in Russia, increased 10 times to 15 million of scam emails. So Russians received 10 times more scam emails with associated, as you can see, associated with the spread of the coronavirus. It's not just it's not just increase of 10 times of scams in Russia. It's all associated with the spread of the coronavirus. Google, 18 million daily malware and phishing emails related to COVID-19. Once again, related to COVID-19, 240 million COVID-related daily spam message. So it's not 240 million spam messages. It's just those that relate to the COVID-19, and it's amazing numbers, astonishing. An important thing relating to social engineering and ability to create a cyber attack is creating fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Those three terms, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, are in the basic of creating social engineering, to having the ability to create cyber attacks. And you can see in this text message the fear, the uncertainty, and doubt. Someone who came in contact with you, tested positive, or has shown symptoms for COVID-19 and recommends you self-isolate/get tested. More at, and of course there is a link. And the essence is to create fear, to create doubt, to create uncertainty. Why? In order to trigger you, to motivate you in doing an action. What is the action? In this case, to press the link and to enter the link. What will happen in this case? We do not know, but potentially malicious activity behind this link. Those also, as you can see here, the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. Distribution, I know what you have done. And an email allegedly arrived from the CIA on the left that the receiver is alleged involved in distribution and storage of pornographic electronic materials and involving underage children. Okay, so those are examples of the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt that we can see during the coronavirus era in order to manipulate the target to do something according to the malicious intention of the attacker. Fake donation and grants. Fake donation and grants we can see here. It's a very good example. According to these screens, allegedly the federal government ordered the weekly payment, and all citizens above the age of 19. Wonderful. Everyone would like to receive a federal grant. What should I do for that? Nothing. Just give my details, all my details, and of course my bank details. So this is another thing of motivate us in order to give information. It's a very good example of social engineering. In this case, kind of phishing attack. This is an email that I received, coronavirus donation. A guy named Stefano Pessina, Italian billionaire businessman that want to share $1.5 million to individual church, orphanage, etc. And of course, it's coronavirus related, and it's kind of probably a phishing that probably the sender would like to receive email account, pardon, not email account, bank account and bank details, allegedly to transfer the money. Another thing is fake healthcare alerts and platform. There was this allegedly coronavirus tracker that after downloading this application that was supposed to be coronavirus tracker, but the actual activity was an Android ransomware. So the consumer thought he downloading coronavirus tracker, but at the end of the day, he entered like a demon to his phone an Android ransomware disguising as coronavirus tracker. Another thing is impersonation of authoritative government organization and institution. And the best example is the World Health Organization. This is an email allegedly from the World Health Organization that the targets receive, and it's looked very genuine from bottom to the top, from top to bottom. You can see that it's allegedly arrived from World Health Organization. There is the logo, this and the signature at the bottom. And what the receiver is needed to do, just click the button below to download what, and document on safety measures regarding spreading on the coronavirus. Another attempt to create, to use the fear, to use the doubt, to use the uncertainty that we have at the age of the coronavirus, in order to do what? In order to manipulate us to press the button, to push the button, and to allegedly download a document of safety measures. What will happen if we click the button? No one knows, or we, the customers, we, the target, do not know. Perhaps it will lease ransomware, perhaps malware or Reaper or whatsoever. But when we press the button of the safety measures, the attacker, we are in the hand of the attacker. We obeyed to his intention and malicious intention. And another things from the World Health Organization, from the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, who said there has been a big increase in targeting of the World Health Organization and other cybersecurity incidents. Impersonations to target others have more than doubled. So we can see that there is a campaign to impersonate World Health Organization in order to arrive to the customers, to the recipients, and to lure them into activities, into malicious activity, as we saw a slide before. So how to avoid coronavirus-related scams? This is an original page of the WHO, which says that what every bank, at least in Israel, declare in their website. We will never ask your username and password to access safer information. We will never email attachment you didn't ask for. Never ask you to visit a link outside their website, and we will never offer you or will ask you for money or payment. This is important rules that are relevant not only for the coronavirus era, not only for the WHO, and we need to know it and implement it. The healthcare sector, institution and supplier, and this is very interesting feature. Why? Because the healthcare sector around the world was the most targeted sector in cyber attacks. For some reasons, this is the case of a ransomware that hit Europe's largest healthcare provider. And you can see the text of the ransomware attack. And a bit about the numbers. The healthcare industry is the most targeted industry when it comes to COVID-19 related attacks, with over 20% of campaigns targeting healthcare organizations. Well, we need to ask ourselves why. And the question is very simple. Why the most targeted industry when it's related to COVID-19 is the healthcare industry? It's simple, because everyone is in the run for knowing, for having information. In this case, information, every time information is a power. But in this case, it's very crucial in order to have much more information how to create vaccines, numbers of patients, number of those who infected, treatment, where and how to buy medicines, respiratory devices, and so on and so forth. There is a huge race for information, and that's why healthcare industry was the most targeted industry with COVID-19 related attacks. But also banking sector. Banking sector is this is a most targeted sector all the time. But here you can see there is attacks on banks spike 238%. Ransomware attacks against financial sector increased 9-fold, and it's only with coronavirus related. And once again, healthcare and financial sector are the most targeted sector, as we can see earlier about the healthcare sector. Very interesting thing is the counterfeit medicine. And there is an ongoing operation which, under the name Pangea of Europol and Interpol, to seize counterfeit medicine. And you can see the outcome of one of those arrests, which relate just for the coronavirus. This is an attempt. This is a campaign of Europol and Interpol to seize counterfeit medicine and vaccine and stuff with coronavirus related. A number of organizations that mismantled the packages that were seized and so on and so forth. One of the actors are not only cyber criminals, actor or individual, but they are also nation-state actors, and this is very interesting. You can see here North Korean malware distribution against the South with the theme of the COVID-19, which a cyber attack that's related to COVID-19. Once again, in order to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So at this point, the allegation is that North Korea used this fear, uncertainty, and doubt in order to send to use it as a cyber attack against South Korea, with the pretext of the COVID-19. As we said earlier, there is a race in order to receive as much as we can information and data and knowledge how to confront this COVID-19 and the pandemic. And of course, state actors that involved, and Gilead Sciences targeted by hackers linked to Iran. That's one thing. Another report mentioned Iran and Russia launched cyber attack on university, desperately searching for COVID-19 cure, as I've just mentioned. And a third one that mentioned also China, hostile state trying to steal coronavirus research, say UK agency, with pointing to Russia, Iran, and China behind the cyber attacks on universities. And here you can see location, as written below, location of users targeted by government-backed COVID-19 related attacks, which mean almost every corner of the world there were users that were targeted, cyber targeted by COVID-19, by governmental attacks which relate to COVID-19 cyber attacks. Interesting thing is the stay-at-home order. Well, almost every one of us are working from home, remote working model. And there are several aspects to this remote working model, the stay-at-home order. The first thing is the enemy within, which means those who were fired, those who were suffered a massive cut of their salary. Now they have personal intention, they have personal bad feelings, and may find interest to harm their business, to take revenge of the fire or the drastic cut of the salary. And as written here, we are reaching a period where everyone is somewhat uncertain. A lot of the inside the threat is driven by personal factors. Another thing is for those that are working, but they are working, not fired, they are working, but they are working from home, and or they are receiving emails that offer them allegedly working from home. And no doubt that there are malicious email with malicious intention that allegedly offer the receiver to work from home, but probably will ask for bank details or credit card details or any kind of relevant sensitive information or credentials. Another thing is the technical aspects, to take advantage of the some technical aspects from working from home, which means sending emails that are allegedly testing our virtual lab machine. Well, the receiver of those emails probably will do not hold much technical knowledge, and said, okay, there is testing of virtual lab machine. What should I do? Just click on it, no problem. Perhaps you will need to provide username and password. Okay, so I'll do it. Why? Because I was asked to. I have no more information or VPN configuration of home access, and it's signed by IT support. So this is another aspect of the working from home model. We are at home, we are working from home, so those malicious actors knows how to take advantage of this new working home model. The consequences, and this is amazing numbers, 51% of organizations have already seen an increase in email phishing attacks since shifting to a remote working model. Half already seen an increase in email phishing attacks. And those numbers are astonishing. And you can see 51% say the workforce is not proficient or properly trained in the cyber risk associated with remote working. So we are giving the ability to workers to work from home, but they were not properly trained of cyber risk, of how to work in safe mode. 46% are not confident in the web application. The web application are secure, which is the same as the first point, the first bullet, which means we are letting the workers to work from home, but they were not trained and they are not convenient that the application are secure. And this is the third one is very interesting also. Half of the responses of the organization allowed employees to use personal email address and personal devices to conduct company work. So yes, this is a remote working model. But when we have this situation in which we able our workers, our employees to use personal emails, personal laptop, personal home internet connection to conduct company work, to access sensitive company files, it's a recipe to disaster. And the last one, and the most crucial one, 40% of the respondents have cut their cybersecurity budget to cost saving. And it's a horrible one. It's horrible because instead of bringing much more knowledge and invest in cybersecurity budget, 40% have reduced the cybersecurity budget. So what will bring the near future? We can see that 46% of organizations plan to continue widespread remote working model even after COVID-19 crisis is over, which means we will see much more cybersecurity incidents, much more cybersecurity attacks based on the previous slide, which lead us to this amazing statement. The coronavirus is laying the ground for a massive cyber attack. In fact, I'm on record today saying we will see the largest cyber attack in history within the next 6 months. Coronavirus practically guarantees the largest cyber attack ever will soon be plastered all over the front pages. Why? Because the numbers were shown earlier and emphasized here. Hundreds of millions of folks are using personal laptops on unsecure home internet connection to access work files, many of which likely contain confidential information and personal data. And what we need is only one entry point. We do not need to breach the whole access point. We need only one entry point to seize control of a whole network. And you can see an example from the past. Hackers broke into the networks of America's largest defense contractor, Lockheed Martin, by targeting remote workers. If they can infiltrate this system, you best believe remote workers with little security are easy picking. So to summarize things, the crisis will end, but the threat will persist. So we need to protect your enterprise. So the conclusions, summarize things. We need to think of the black swans, which means expect the unexpected. It's relevant to every day with the cybersecurity matter of life. but especially those hectic days of coronavirus. We need to learn from the past and, of course, share our experience. We need to guide our workers, our families, our employees, our relatives, and mind the digital gap to close and to minimize the digital gaps and invest. But when we're speaking about investment, it's basically about technology. What I suggest is invest in human capital, in education, in raising the knowledge, and to empower our community, the citizen, everyone. Not only those tech savvy, not only the technological department, every worker and employee should know about it, because every one of us, we are all digital citizens. And as Mr. Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can have beautiful and amazing strategy, but if the organizational, if the individual cybersecurity culture, cybersecurity hygiene is not a good one, it's useless. And as you can see, 95% of organizations have cultural issues around cybersecurity. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how old are we, what is our sector, where do we work, what is our profession, or how wise are we, or technological savvy are we. Security is a process, not a product. We must remember that. Security is a process and not a product. It's an ongoing process. And this is an amazing quote by the US State Attorney, United States Attorney, which say, I think we are really going to see an unprecedented wave of cyber attacks and cyber fraud, as we just mentioned. And that's what we are trying to prepare our partners and the public for. That we saw. At the end of the day, computer keyboard is the best offensive weapon. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you. And you have here some of my communication channels. If you have any question and want to share with me with your thoughts and send questions, and feel free. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are questions.
Yeah, thank you, Pavel, for such an insightful session, and
thank you.
Really pulled out data from many sources and brought it together, and a lot of interesting data points from there. I would imagine enterprises would be investing more into cybersecurity, but you are saying they want to invest less because of cost cutting. And nothing can be more stupid than that, if I may. But I think it looks like companies are doing that. Now, one question which I have, and I really encourage the participants, if they have any questions, to put it in the platform, and we'll pick up those questions. So one question top of my head is, you did cover the investments into what the companies have to do, right, into education and awareness building, all of that. As individuals, as professionals, what do I invest into from a cybersecurity standpoint? Is there anything which I need to do to prepare myself and be a better cybersecurity professional?
Thank you for this question. I think that the major notion that we need to understand is that cybersecurity is not related to them, to the technological guys, to the IT department. No, it's related to everyone. Mm-hmm. And I often say that if you take any, just for example, if you take any given academic institution, almost all the departments are related in this way or another to the cyberspace. Not only computer science and IT department, but also, of course, cybersecurity is related to politics and government, and of course, economy, and of course, culture, and healthcare, and sociology, and psychology, and everything. So what we need to understand basically is that cybersecurity is something that's surrounding us. Even if we do not call it cybersecurity, it can be the IoTs, smart homes, and our vehicles. There is I read a week ago, there is a new regulation in the EU that I think from next year there are regulation about cybersecurity of the vehicle automotive in a sector in the EU, which means every car will need in the EU will need to stand in several cybersecurity safety regulations.
Okay.
So, but hey, cybersecurity, it's laptops, it's computers, it's for those, the IT department, the CISO, the CIO. Well, it's related to me, the end user, the driver in the car. Yeah, because it's related to everything, to everyone. Because we are all like in envelope of cyber security, and we are all digital citizens.
Yes.
And if we have laptops, emails, cellular phones, social networks, WhatsApp, we are digital citizens, and we are prone to be targets.
Excellent. I think excellent. I think that's a great response, Dr. Pavel. So one question which I also want to see, a lot of our members and participants want to specialize in cybersecurity. They want to become cybersecurity professionals. Is there any guidance you can give them? What is it they need to do to really pursue a career in cybersecurity? Is there any certifications or training they should look at?
Well, there are a lot of accreditation and certification and academic activities and around the world, and I'll say that here in Israel, where I teach at the Tel Aviv Academic College, at the Information Security Department, we started 4 years ago a cybersecurity program, which I'm the head of this program, under the IT department, under the IT studies department. And the vision and the mission of this of those studies are an holistic approach, which means cyber, in order to be professional cyber expert, you do not need to focus yourself only on the technological aspect. But for example, I teach terrorism and the internet. So probably not everyone will deal with terrorism and the internet or terrorist aspects of the cyberspace, but it's also something that you need to know. Another course of mine is social aspects on the cyberspace. Why? Because we have, on one hand, phishing and social engineering, as I mentioned. On the other hand, we have a crowdsourcing, and we have also cyberbullying. And cyberbullying, it's not perhaps pure cyber activity, but it's another phenomenon that's related to this cyberspace. It's also malicious activity in this cyber realm. And I think that in order to be cyber experts, we need to have a broader vision, broader angle of view, not only the tech side. It's good to know how to write an excellent code. And we have courses of secure code, of cryptography and everything. But we need to do a zoom out and to know, okay, there are regulations. What are the latest regulations in the cyberspace? There is a privacy regulation of GDPR, which we all have to obey. And we see the implication on websites relating registration of cookies. So in this case, it's not only that to be a cyber expert, since the cyberspace is relevant to so many sectors and aspects, and as I mentioned, every department and every in every academic institution. So from my point of view, in order to be a cyber expert, a real one, is not only to know the latest technology, but it's also to know regulation, legislation, to know about social engineering. And social engineering, for me, it's a beautiful example, because if I have only one choice to give one lecture, it will be about social engineering. And that's the precise reason. Because social engineering has nothing to do with technology. You can be the best expert, the cyber expert, with all the relevant knowledge, the technical knowledge. But I tell to my students, social engineering, it works because it's not hacking to software or to hardware. It's hacking to our mind. There is nothing of technology in social engineering attacks. It's just psychology. It's social science. It's sociology. It's behavior studies. It's how to manipulate us. So in order to be an excellent cyber expert, we need also to know something about the psychology of our employees, how they manipulate, how not to get them to fall into those cyber attacks in phishing attacks. We know that phishing attack is the most popular attacks. And once again, it relates nothing to technology. It's hacking our mind.
I think that's again, I think a great advice to people who are watching this program. Now, on a slightly different track, a lot of our members also run smaller companies, startups. Can you talk about 2 or 3 areas into which the startups are investing in the field of cybersecurity? What are the futuristic things people could invest in or people are investing in? Do you have any thoughts on that which you could share with our audience?
Well, the sectors of new technologies that we see is a very interesting one all over the world. We can see IoTs, of course, and we see it on the healthcare sectors. We see it also in information gathering, on whether information gathering with information analysis from social networks, and we know that a lot of information is gathered and a lot of information is analyzed, and unfortunately a lot of information is not only gathered, analyzed, and a lot of it unfortunately is leaked either by malicious intention or by innocent intention, external or internal. But I think that things that relate to privacy, activities that relate to our privacy, activities that relate to our world that is changing. And I think that we should focus ourselves on projects that they are not only technological based, but they are also based upon the society, which means not only enterprises that intend to bring new technology. There are new technologies, but there is a gap, of my humble opinion, there is a gap between the technology and the consumers, the technology and the community, the technology and the society. And I just read a seminar of a student of mine about adoption of technology by seniors and elders. And there is a gap. And projects should be also focusing on minimizing this digital gap of the consumer, of the community, because at the end of the day, those kind of technologies is addressed for the society. They are the consumers. And if there is a fine technology and there is a gap of knowledge, it will be kind of shelfware, a technology that is there on the shelf, but no one knows how to use it or how to implement it. So there are new challenges, new technology challenges, whether they are related to the sector organization, blockchains, how to protect our privacy, healthcare during the coronavirus or not the coronavirus. We spoke about the automotive industry. But once again, from my opinion, we should also try to minimize the digital gap, not to leave the community, not to leave the society behind us, not to leave the community and the society behind the technology.
I think excellent perspective, Dr. Pavel.
Thank you.
I think we are getting close to the hour. I just want to request you if you have any closing comments or suggestions for our participants today. A couple of questions on the platform, but I think we'll take it offline. But I just wanted to request you if you have any closing comments to our participants today. Yes,
first of all, I saw that there are some remarks and questions in the chat and the Q&A. Feel free, everyone, to address me, send me an email with your remarks and questions and wondering and so on and so forth. Feel free.
Thank you.
To do it. Thank you. I'll just say that, and I told more than once to my students that this era, not the coronavirus era, but the cyberspace era, cybersecurity era, is bringing us a lot of challenges, new opportunities, of course, lots of opportunities, but a lot of challenges. And I said it several years ago, the technology is running much faster than we can absorb it, understand it, assimilate it. And there are a lot of terms that change. There are the terms of privacy, anonymity, censorship, terms of secrecy. All those terms are changing now. They are losing from the content. What is the meaning of privacy and anonymity in those days? From my opinion, it's lose of its meaning, and we need to define some, from the beginning, some of these terms and features, which means we need to define from scratch what is the meaning of privacy in those days. What is the meaning of anonymity? Do we have privacy? Are we anonymous in this, not only in the cyberspace, when we walk in the street without our cell phone, are we anonymous? Not anymore. Do we have kind of privacy in this life? Well, not anymore. And those are questions that are not tech questions. It's philosophical question, a policy question, and a law question. Once again, it's another issue of that the cyberspace relates to so many aspects and sectors that are not a tech one. And I think that from time to time we need to step back and to have kind of broader vision and broader angle of what are our life, what is the technology, what is the cyberspace, what is the benefits, what are the limitations, what are the changes that all of this bring to us, how can we adopt it, how it affects us without any more examples. I'll give just one. Here in Israel, in most of the cities, it's impossible to park your car in a street, in a parking lot, without that someone will know about it. Because in most cases, in most of the cities, when you want to park your car, you pay with an application. So if there is a need to pay, you pay with an application. And in almost every city in Israel, you need to pay for the parking, even if it's not in parking lot, even if it's in the street, you need to pay. If you pay with an application. So suddenly, if you just park your car, someone knows. And in most cases, they say, okay, someone had my credit card. No, I'm not speaking about the credit card. Credit card is something that you can change, you can delete. But I'm speaking about the fact that someone knows that this car number parked here in this specific place between the hour X and Y. We are much more monitored, and we need to understand that, and we need to, in specific way, it's not only monitoring ourselves, it's much more wider perspective of what is our digital life, how it's look like, and the need to adopt new way of thinking, and not only tech way of thinking. That's it.
Thank you so much, Tal. I think that's a great perspective of how all our lives are today getting more and more digital, and privacy is more illusion than reality. So thank you for taking the time. I think we had more than 140 participants at peak time. I'm sure they benefited from the immense experience you have and the kind of data you shared. This session is recorded. We will actually put it on our portal also for people to watch it later. Once again, thank you so much for really taking your time. I also want to thank all the participants who really keep this platform going, who give us new ideas on how to do this. So I want to thank all of them for participating today. So thank you once again, Dr. Pavel. I'll hand it
Thank you all organizers, thank you all attendees, and once again, you can feel free to send me insights, remarks, and questions to my email, and I'll answer all of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tal. Thank you, Nari. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.